Hello friends, welcome to my Princess Diana channel. Before moving on to the video, if you are not subscribed to my channel, do not forget to subscribe and turn on notifications, so let's move on to the video. Harry and Meghan are still hot topics for the media due to the many controversies and condemnations related to their actions. A very recent example is Harry's medals where during an awarding virtual event, he awarded a medal to Combat Medic Sergeant First Class Elizabeth Marks. Even after abdicating of his honorary military titles in 2020, Harry was proudly wearing and showing others his Operational Service Medal for Afghanistan along with some other honorary awards. Naturally, this action infuriated some of the royal fans, who called it disrespectful in their social media posts. The critics also claimed that Harry had been acting in a disrespectful manner towards the royal family members and the monarchy as a whole. The supporters of the royal couple claimed that the medals were significant as they commemorate even such significant events like the Queen's Jubilees and other state events he attended. To establish a trusting atmosphere for social media and press who have to write about gifts like this, he was asked to wear whatever he would wear for a state ceremony. However, the results were obviously underwhelming. He was asked to wear what he would wear to a state ceremony to establish a trust-building atmosphere for the social media and the press that would have to write about such gifts. As should be expected, the immediate reaction was not received well. The most surprising thing was that the insufferable man wasn't wearing his iconic aviator medal, a bright blue phantom among the other items that proudly took up his medals, Jubilee medals given to every single active enlisted member in the British military, an audience of around 400,000 servicemen. Therefore, I must admit that I know about the many debates around Prince Harry and his military history, from the fact that he was thoroughly hated by his comrades, who called him "rear boy" because he always seemed to be sent home instead of at the front lines. The second issue is the widely circulated rumor that the young prince was awarded medals for acts of courage that he never actually risked his life to do and, thusly, never actually earned. Critics have issued that many of the awarding generals didn't want to inadvertently insult the king by giving him nothing in exchange for his service of commanding the British soldier, and that may indeed be a reasonable explanation for many of Prince Harry's medals, particularly the Operational Service Medal for Afghanistan. I have also noticed that the vast majority of the audience doesn't like his appearance at the ceremony, considering that the general was instead of him, to shoot these positions to a more relaxed general or commander and give someone more respected to give these honors. If he can't put it on right, and his wife can't he should only take that star out when the state representative or UK government is moved there, not all the time. It would be rather improper and disrespectful to display any of these medals without proper authorization. This would especially be the case if Harry is perceived to be benefiting directly from displaying these medals or if using them helped enhance his public image. Several people have, in fact, asserted that Harry should be stripped of his medals. However, the matter of stripping him of his medals from the state is likely to be more challenging. Besides, as argued by the Washington Senate, Harry's medals are a matter for the relevant authorities in the United Kingdom, meaning that he can actually be relieved of his honors. It is ridiculous to see Harry wearing military decorations while on American soil, and losing these medals would be a befitting punishment. It is totally wrong for a non-US citizen to show up and honor a military event if they are not close to the military in the aspect. The action speaks of disrespect to those awarded military medals for participating actively in war zones. Furthermore, perhaps the British should consider calling for his deportation, an act that would see him stripped of all his medals. He should in fact feel ashamed of himself. Playing a war simulation in a studio, covered in a bunker, is not suitable for spearheading such activity. I find it ridiculous. He did not appear live, but rather just sent a video. How can a person be so arrogant and full of themselves for no reason whatsoever? It is insulting to think that a video would suffice to pay tribute to a real soldier. The quality is not properly done, the video is blurry, badly recorded, and it seems like it was recorded outside. Then he wears an Afghanistan medal next to 3 other disputable tributes. It is an insult to injury. It is almost as if he would show it to the Taliban. The irony is unbelievable. An American woman is given tribute for serving her nation was given from a British prince. It is important to stress that America does not have any royalty. Not only that but also a prince who was disowned from his family wore British medals despite the fact they presumed renunciation. The woman deserves lunacy then, but that is just at the start of what many people see in you, Harry. The witty laugh, I feel sorry to the woman who dedicated her life for her people, and she received the praise from a bench-sitting British young man. He is, of course, forced to reveal heraldic tattoos, demonstrating his close relations with the present pharaoh without a throne. It appears he has no other method to justify his existence, which will not happen regardless of how strongly he insulted his own relatives, the crown, and the country where he was born. Harry is likely to conceal the medals because they are not a military commendation, rather a token of Queen Elizabeth II's 25th Jubilee and Commonwealth ancillaries. Moreover, it is wholly unacceptable to wear such medals in the United States. I think Harry was honored in this way based on his presence at the Invictus Games. What is more, once again, wearing the medals was undoubtedly a heartfelt gesture for injured veterans, as he was disqualified for the desired rank and was located in a relatively safe area of Afghanistan. In addition, he was disoriented by the Marine Remembrance Ceremony, and he had to go to the cinema to review the film. His thoughts focused on turning Instagram into his own Meghan runway show. A devastating history took place on the most excellent day of the father's veteran. The Meghan's location was unknown. I am finding that fascinating that she did not run to give him another medal, possibly for his dedication as the world's most fantastic jam tester. They have chipped the Invictus glory in the lowliest manner. Whether he endures legal redress to bear the decorations may be unknown, but his precise designs remain unidentified. So, it is doubtful to observe what he has really manifested to be proud of. Individuals who are named in these documents do not exhibit this sort of pride. He can be seen as an ordinary soldier, nothing more and nothing less. A toy soldier is not a notably remarkable individual. He played video games most of the time, covered by a protective guard. He failed the helicopter pilot test 3 times in a row. Despite the fact that he has not received any awards for gallantry or command, he was awarded 3 medals merely in recognition of his self-importance. It is pretty contradictory to honor someone for arrogance and neglect a soldier who deserves the distinction because he has always comported himself with grace and determination. It's an embarrassment for Prince Harry to show only 1 medal for the military activity. If he were not a royal, he would never have been allowed to join Sandhurst. It is a self-evidently laughable decision. He might also be given medals for other things: Bunker Boy, Royal Idiot, Royal Judas, Ultimate Liar, and so on. Let's look into Harry's medals in more detail. The king was an actual pilot for which he gave honorable service. Iapetus was awarded a dual diamond medal for the excellence achieved during the flight of a helicopter HMS Hermes. He even flew fixed-wing jet aircraft. Because to the absurd rule that states that none of the potential heirs will be able to take part in real military experiences, William, a responsible pilot, was not allowed to do so. The only training Harry received was on co-pilot gunnery. Harry was never allowed to fly alone by the Ministry of Defense. Harry was unable to be promoted to a position of leadership in the army due to his intellectual insufficiencies, and Harry is somewhat dim. He could never lead the army since he is unable to pass the exams required to do it. HMS Harry faced academic difficulties since his prep school years when he had to repeat a year, and he has always been behind academically despite being older than others. It is almost as if his entire persona was meticulously groomed, and he would never have been able to gain admission to Sandhurst without being a royal. The medal he received was more ceremonial than earned. It was granted for being there, not for any meaningful work. His tours were less than tours, and he was called Bunker since he was always in safer parts of the world. His other medals are Jubilee medals since he stopped doing the job. He is, in fact, an MON, but lives in the US with his wife and kids, claiming to be living an American way of life. He could or might not have paid taxes. He is, by birth, an American. Do not do anything in the UK. So what is the matter, then? It is almost as if the destination is much less important than the journey itself. Why was Harry invited to this ceremony? Why was he given this opportunity? The intriguing question is, why was Harry invited if these horrible things happen notwithstanding? Could it be that someone was watching his back? His own father, King Charles? Recently Lady C has mentioned that King Charles allowed Prince Harry certain behaviors nobody could comprehend, therefore, Lady C could not explain King Charles' gentle attitude towards the son. During recent interviews, namely with YouTubers Padina and Dan Wooten regarding The Persecutors or Victims, new release, Lady C has admitted that Harry had a very unusual start in life, meaning Harry was not possibly born under what people usually consider normal. Handling this topic, it is essential to be cautious and careful not to offend, insult, or joke about people's special needs and families challenged by such needs. Additionally, many, including myself, have noticed a drastic change in Harry's appearance, distinct facial features, and occasional bizarre body Russian roulette since his marriage to Meghan. All these observations are available and known in the public. Lady C once again cautiously mentioned that King Charles knew and worried about Harry's possible physical placement problem. Basically, this is a legitimate developmental issue likely related to some form of prenatal issue Prince Harry faced when his mother was pregnant with him. Indeed, the lengthy aftermath of the impact of these traumas upon Harry has been immense. Not only does it lead to the highly problematic personal flaw but also undermines his family life, dynasty, reputation, decisions as a prominent multinational person and general influence upon people. According to Lady C, there is potential damage to Harry's cognitive development and mental function, as his mother experienced further and further levels of an eating disorder during pregnancy. From Lady C's viewpoint, she is not blaming Diana for deteriorating eating levels during her pregnancy with Harry. Instead, the Countess of Carnarvon primarily highlights the clear physical changes in Harry's body, which are allegedly leading to the possible developing brain damage. As I see emerging patterns of recurring medical features and facial features, ears, and eyes seem to acquire a new pattern that remains gradually fixed with time. Unknown medical characteristics may result from long-term drug use, physical abuse from a person of Meghan's nature, this malevolent malignant woman, and a prodigious narcissist. Many factors can go wrong in the naturally self-intelligent progression of our zippering structure's brains and lead to pregnancy. Sometimes the medical community is unable to identify the cause, mechanism, or principle behind a failure of apparent regional development. Just as contemporary oncology struggles with many cancers and blood problems to comprehend and regulate, fetal development presents difficulties of control and the unknown. Although medical technology has made great strides, critical organs like the brain can develop abnormally, leading to birth defects. However, the unfortunate reality that Harry found himself in is being entangled in the cycle of addiction. This one not only involves substance abuse, but also refers to the dangerous misuse of drugs and alcohol as a fundamental part of his daily life over time. The only aspect of substance use disorder that is different from other diseases and other chronic relapsing conditions is that drugs are included. Addiction is a progressive illness that is as real, complex, and devastating as heart disease or cancer. Perhaps his own acknowledgement that he was less brilliant, as well as the mortifying embarrassment of this and the potential splitting he often felt from his brother and schoolmates, fueled and increased the problem. Once again, this would have given him incentives for accepting substances, to move more smoothly, or to escape into the shock, confusion, and torment from the inside, which he without a doubt experienced, specifically in circumstances of his mother's terrifying and public demise when he was only barely 13. Harry has recently stated that he has never felt brilliant or naturally competent at arriving at standard or mostly outstanding intellectual execution, either as a kid or as a grown-up, provided that intelligence is relevant. There are many ways to learn, for example, by the use of therapies, games, puzzles, formal or self-education, reading, and life which may help people improve their brain function, and has shown to be the case for those who have encountered intellectual or learning issues. Various clinical researches have proven that drugs and violent video games can impair brain growth by physically debiting, dulcifying and reconfiguring brain cells and their operational patterns. Harry has been involved in violent video gaming since his days in Afghanistan, while reports reveal that he spends his weekends and weekdays until fairly late only in the early hours on the gaming console. Gaming is also akin to substance abuse because it is an active addiction. Computer engineers and game manufacturers deliberately compile breakneck, first-person games with a high degree of violence, and the more they advance technologically, the more flesh-to-life, ever-responsive, real individuals with top-of-the-line software and on-the-ground special effects these games. Hence, the games produced today bear a resemblance, if not exceed, the quality of even the most well-produced sci-fi films. As a result, they become increasingly addictive, especially as technological capacities allow them to grow. Harry has been outspoken about his suffering from mental difficulties and low self-esteem. He, like many others, suffers from anxiety and despair, and alarmingly often struggles with intense anger. Difficulties in impulse regulation and anger management make it difficult to maintain sound judgment of appropriate reactions and behavior accordance with societal norms. The red mist describes these emotions, as it represents an outburst that is no longer rationally based. Anger management can be terrifying as it is born in an unpredictable climate of shifting moods and outbursts of violence. Lady Clunas, in her recent book, emphasizes the importance of structure institutions such as the military, which was vital in developing a powerful sense of purpose, self-esteem, and confidence in Harry. Nearly everyone requires a structured routine to lead a fulfilling life and to spread their spare time into work, leisure, volunteering, and family duties. Unfortunately, Harry has no permanent and highly organized duties in California. His mental health has visibly deteriorated living in a well-organized structure lovingly called Royal in the UK. Moreover, Lady C mentions public expectations of the monarchy and members of the Parliament for King Charles to lovingly guide his youngest son from the very moment he was born. King Charles finds himself in the center of ongoing conflict with Harry when Harry and Meghan are not even particularly interested in his responses to harsh criticism. During an episode of her YouTube channel, Lady C quotes King Charles, which mentions that he believes Harry may purposely harm himself and predicts more frequent instances of racial insults aimed at the royal family. "Charlie, it's too late already. You and your future queen daughter-in-law were called racist, and no historical or contemporary evidence will catch up with your reputation, legacy, or tradition. Regardless of your actions, Charlie boy, you would be called a racist anyway. What did you preserve all these years waiting for this cancer to go away by itself? In reality, the damage has already been done and will only get worse." She doubts Harry will ever admit a mistake. He's not coming back. He has been brainwashed, isolated from his country, distanced from his mates, family members, and relatives. He turned influencer. His patterns of using substances only reinforce his delusional ideas and paranoia. Other issues that caught King Charles's attention are Harry's constant struggle with his perceived birth defect. He must have felt inferior at some times given how he acted these few times. From Charles's perspective, whatever issues Harry faced, how he acted, and what resulted from it was outside of his cognitive abilities and skill on how to handle such situations. Thus, has there something gone wrong with your wiring, or is it too complex to handle suddenly without the proper specifics? From his perspective, the only thing he can do right now is to maintain what pretense and empathic stance he can gather. It appears that Harry has no idea what he has brought upon himself. It is indeed so with narcissistic individuals like Meghan and Harry. They know how to put themselves in the best light in the worst scenarios and then rub it to whoever the situation caused most harm, drawing the best from the situation in terms of the public loved and adored them. Thus, the remaining supportive media is encouraging William to act as the hero and change his tragicomic mask while encountering everyone at the same time. William, his wife, his unwell father, his children, and the whole organization are daily pummeled at the hands of Meghan's PR machine. The above makes them all feel like they are being hunted down in their own lives. We will be racial victims if our children and tiles are taken from us. We will still be racial victims when the status quo is upheld, but without uttering or moving a muscle, but we will still abuse the racial victims card. We will say our unborn babies are prince and princesses, and the palace and the royal family will have to say the same within 48 hours. If Casper's babies are not letting be prince and princesses, even though they were only brought up in the US, we will all say you are being a racist and we are eternal victims and fan disruption and enmity across the Commonwealth or colonial empire. Harry, who is experiencing broad hatred every day of his miserable, unstable and erratic life, is confronted with and acts on several critical active addiction and poor judgment issues. He has become his handler, who has molded him to follow all her orders and be at her disposal to meet her greedy, revengeful, and victimizing desires. Any suborn brain abnormality revealed during the gestation period will only make Harry's life miserable, and he will become more self-destructive towards himself and his children. Yet it was a developmental brain issue that lingered from birth, too subtle to be discovered, until it destroyed his brain and body, once a jovial, cheeky young man with his mother's golden touch. Harry's regret at what he had wasted and what he could not produce, giant delusional mist from heavy abusive drugs, the rotten erosion of his identity and confidence by his handler, yet it was his destiny, the sheer stunted development of his exponential paranoia and messianism, all may mask a developmental starting point that first occurred in the woman and now thunders his brain and his body. That's it for our video, my friends. I hope you have liked it. Please let me know your thoughts in the comments, and like the video. If you haven't done so yet, if you want to be first to be informed about my content, please subscribe to the channel and make sure you turn on notifications. Thank you for spending this time with me. Take care of yourself and stay healthy. I'll see you in the next one.